always fun. So we're going to record. So that deep learning contributes to your career progression. It contributes to your personal growth. So that's going to take a lot more than the minimum. Think about this. If you had to give 3 people a raise, would you give the person the raise, the biggest raise, that just did the minimum amount of work? Would you give the person the biggest raise that did just a little bit more, or somebody that really gave their effort and brought some results? Okay? Think about that. So what I'd like for you to do is, when you're answering the questions and develop the topics, got that? Bring it out, make it real, involve your fellow classmates. Make them feel involved in the discussion. I want you to think about something else. There was several studies were done, and I think it might have been, I think Baker did some of this, or participated in it. And what they found out was that students that were more engaged were the ones that succeeded at higher levels, or the ones that succeeded instead of not succeeding. And that's why they really stress engagement. And that's why the engagement looks at beginning of the week, middle of the week, end of the week. And we always have a little fun activity that says due by Friday. Well, that due by Friday, that's like Thursday, Friday of the first week. Those are the first 2 days of the week, right? Thursday, Friday. That's your first 2 days. Do that thing, ta-da! You don't have to do anything else for the first part of the week. You got it. Then you have the rest of the week to do something in the middle and something at the end, and you get full engagement, as long as it's good, substantive, and go beyond the text. Please. Oh, look what's out there. Hint, the text is not the gospel. It might be close to the gospel, but it's not. There are other points of view. Go find them. You're allowed to do that. You have access to an electronic library, right? So you can go do that. So how do you improve your performance? I had one student not too long ago, A student, right? And every time that he looked at his grade, he had an A. And he went, okay, great. And he went, okay, A, great. All the way on and on and on. And I went, you're not reading the feedback. Because he kept making the same mistake again and again and again and again and again. It was not enough to drop it below an A, right? But it was enough to drop it below his potential. You have potential. Read the feedback, regardless of what score you made. And here's another thing. If you really messed up on something, I might put something in there that says, back to Judy again, we're going to pick on her. Judy, give me a call. Send an email. Let's talk about this. Maybe we need to figure out what went wrong here and how we can fix it. Okay? So read the feedback, please. Also check the scores for accuracy. Some people have the same last names, not in this course, but some of them do. And I'll look at it and my little crossed eyeballs, and I'll put this one up here and that one down there, and I get an email from somebody. Why did I get a D? I go, a D? You got a D? Oh my, okay. So check your scores and your grades for accuracy. Make sure that what you see in there sort of goes along with everything. That's what reading the feedback, looking at the score is going to help keep me straight, okay? And also, please participate all through the week. And look at those. Where it says interesting threads, what are we talking about there? Well, some threads are there because they have to be there. That's that required one. You have to do that. Other ones are there because they came out of the text and it looked like a topic that people that are taking this course need to know a little bit about. And there are other ones that are in there that might have come out of the text, but are a lot of interesting and exciting because there's something there that applies to you, right? Find the ones that are interesting to you, and not just to you. Look around. There might be one thread all of a sudden that goes 10 people all talking about this same thing, having a blast. See what that's about. Go out there, join those threads. And as I said, engage. Engage other people. It's going to get your score up. So what do you have to do? Well, as we said, you have to have engagement. What does that mean? I'm going to post 2 little words. No, you're not going to post 2 little words. I'm going to post 3 little sentences. No, you're going to post good, substantive, some thoughts, some contribution, and you're going to do it in at least the middle and end of the week, because you're going to have that fun activity if you want to do that in the first part. And the fun activities, some of them are tests, some of them are just go out and find a website, some of them are just go out and find a couple websites and what did they say about it. Just fun. Just get out there and go do something. You'll have 2 case studies. You have one in the first week, you'll have one in the second week, and then you have an assessment paper every week, and then that final project, right? So what's this assessments? Well, okay, everybody goes, oh my goodness, assessments. One student asked me, says, look, what is this assessment? My interconnection's unstable. That means I'm going to have to turn my video off. Let's try that. Stop video. See if make it be stable now. Okay, so they said, what is this assessment thing? How does that relate to my final project? Answer, no, it's not really. The assessments are things called, what it is, it's DMAIC model, which is define, measure, assess, improve, and control. What in the heck? All that means is you start with where you are and you want to improve. And so that's what the assessments are. And they're going to be on some organization that you know enough about to answer. I had a student not too many terms ago that was really interested in, like, I don't know, the Coca-Cola company, for example, right? And so all she would do, she would talk about all these wonderful things about Coca-Cola, the company, because she was reading it all on the website. And she was learning all about wonderful things that Coca-Cola company did and all the wonderful processes they had and all the HR. And I said, that was great. But then when she got down here to where it said post assessments, which means she was supposed to write about things that would improve what they did, she could not do that because all she knew was the good stuff that they were talking about. She had no idea how to fix that. So what you want to do is think about an organization that you are familiar enough to write about. And you do not have to tell me the real name. I don't care. You can call it the company or XYZ Corporation or the Village of Little Indiana River. It does not matter. As long as you use the same one all the way through. And now let's go back. How does that relate to the final project? The final project has no specific relationship. It is a project in which you do some research and you write on a topic, and you've all been suggesting topics now. You write on that topic, you make that presentation as if you were delivering it to some CEO, CIO, CFO, some C-level person, some executive. That's what the final project is about. Can it relate to the same organization? Of course it can, but it does not have to. And should your final project just combine all of the stuff here that you're writing in for all of your assessments? No. Your final project is supposed to be some specific technical or tech-related topic, not all of the content associated with these. Please do not do that, right? And here's the deal. When you do one of the assessments, and you'll do one every week, and probably by now you've already handed or you're getting ready to hand your first one in, make sure you have that cover sheet. Put headings and sections. What's a heading? A heading is just some kind of an offset text that says, right here, I'm going to be talking about blah, 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 communications. Right here, we will discuss blah, 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 how management relates to employees. That's a section heading, right? And then put the content under that heading that's relevant to that heading. This is not a story narrative. It's just like you're writing for a business paper. You hand it to your executive, he's going to pick it up, and he's going to want to see, when I see that heading, that's what I want to read about right there. And he's going to want to be able to scan through, find the heading he wants or she wants, and go, that's the information I want right there. That's what you're writing for. Okay? Now, when you do pre-assessments, that's how things are now. That's the first 3 papers, how they are right now. They can be good, they can be bad, does not matter. Does not matter how good they are or how bad they are. What matters is, can you recognize the way they are? Okay? We do this, or this company does this, or they have this, or they have that. And yes, you can relate weaknesses if you see one. Yes, you can relate strengths. It's all okay as long as you are assessing the way things presently are. That's the first 3 papers. The next 3 papers, you're going to assume that there's some way to make each one of these other things better. I'm going to repeat that. You always, always, always can make something better. Because even if you think it's perfect, it's not. If your boss thinks it's perfect, it's not. Because that's why you're studying the material. You're out, you're looking at different resources, you're looking at different ways to do things. If you go, how do I know that? Well, here's how you know that. Each one of these assessments and post-assessments, pre or post-assessments, have a set of topics, such as communication within the company, or building communication between management and the employees, or whatever those topics are. So how can you do that is you can see that is a specific topic. You can do a little bit of research on the web, in the library, in your text, wherever. It's okay where you go look for it, go look for it. And you'll find things called best practices and benchmarks. And so what you can do, and this is just a suggestion, if you have here in your pre-assessments, you describe how things presently are. Okay, that's nice. When you get down to post-assessments, you still have this information. You're allowed to say, in my first paper, I talked about blah, blah, and this is what I found. You can say, now, the best practices for that consist of some of these things. This is from your research, and you say, therefore, I suggest that in order to improve communication with the organization should consider implementing, and you make it specific to your organization. That provides the reason for the change, and the expected result. That's what this post-assessment's about. And if you think we're in the middle of discussing some things about projects and how you have that learning or that development from the project, right? Well, this is kind of where we are here. Pre-assessments, where are you? You're now analyzing, you're looking at what you have. Post-assessments, you've already whispered through here going, this is where we really want to be. And now you go, okay, this is where we want to be. This is how we're going to get there. That's what you're doing. The course is reinforcing itself. Any questions on that? I hear nothing. That means it's good. Okay. All right, let's move on. See if we get the next slide here. So what is this final project? Okay. The reason that I ask you to have that in by very soon, very, very soon, is because some of you will pick topics that are so big. People have written books and books and books on them, and that's too much for you to handle. So you get a good approved topic, one that you can at least have some, you know what the word scope means, right? How far are you going to go on something? What are you looking to accomplish? Something with a scope that you can handle. And then if you make it apply for you personally or your organization, ta-da! A lot of students are doing this and they're carrying it to their bosses, and their bosses are going, wow, that looks like a good idea. Or, well, we'll think about that later. But they're showing their bosses. You remember we just finished talking about that deep learning? Here you go. Deep learning, right? Now, I do not want someone to do, so, like a couple terms ago, someone said, well, I'm going to report on, and it was some software thing, whatever it was, some like a website. Next thing you know, all they did was demo the website. And I said, no, no, no. It was not, we don't want a software demo. You are doing a presentation. It has to have audio, video. It's good to have the little transitions, and you have to take command. Now, how many of you, and I'm sure a lot of you have, you walked into a meeting and somebody is making a presentation and they put this thing on the board and it's sentence after sentence after sentence after sentence after sentence. And what do? They sit there and they read sentence after sentence after sentence after sentence. I've wanted to throttle people that did that. Please do not do that to your people. In the first place, if they did not know how to read, they would not be working there. Probably, anyway, right? But they do know how to read. So what you want to do is put the bullets up here and then talk about them. Show them that you know what you're talking about, because that's the whole point. And this down here on the bottom where it says click to add notes, you can put your notes down there. Or you can print your notes onto a piece of paper and your boss says, that was really good, give it to me. He says, here it is. Or as I did to one, I made a presentation to an HR VP. He said, I really like that. And I said, good, here's and I handed him the USB drive. He says, there you go, it's all right there. And he kind of looked at me and I said, I want to do you another favor. You want it, you can have it. You can even take credit for it. And that's because I knew him. That was the only way it was going to happen. And so he took credit for it, and good things happened for the company. And that was the objective. And so I went away happy. And he went, he thought he was a really special person. Okay. So do that. Now here's some things to think about now. We're going to get into some practical content, which we'll like to do every week. We'll try to get into practical content. So you have this security issues. Everybody goes, security? Oh, wow, right? And I think we saw one discussion thread this week where a student said that so-and-so said they were going to go into network security, and I had no idea what they were talking about. Well, here's what they're talking about. It's protecting your organization's assets and resources, and that includes customer information, right? So let's look at some of this. Just last year, 2016, 49% businesses attacked. My internet connection's unstable. Hopefully it'll stay in here. So what happens? They lost service. I mean, the reason that I'm over here on this machine right now is because the machine that I would normally use is, in highly technical language, snockered. I need to get in there and find out what's wrong with it. There are some outages that are having some problems right now on that machine, and I'm going to have to fix that when we're through. But here we go. That's part of the problem. What happens when a cyber attack occurs? People cannot access the information either from inside or from outside. It damages your company, your organization. People go, I wouldn't want to do business with them. Why shop at Target? They were destroyed, right? Not a good idea. And the other thing is, because a lot of organizations have very close working relationships with their suppliers or their customers, someone gets in and they steal one batch of information, maybe they get more, right? And this denial of service, I mean, I've tried to log into one class, and I sat here tonight 25 minutes watching the blue circle of death because I could not get from here to there. Those are all typical of cyber attacks, but it gets worse than that. What happens? These are things you need to think about. This Internet of Things, and you go, what the holy heck? Well, how about this? Internet of Things. You walk past your RFID tags, right? Say you have an RFID, that means radio frequency identification tag, and it's clamped onto the shirt that you just bought from whoever you bought it from, some store. Well, what if it's built into that shirt? Well, what that means is that little RFID tag in there, every time you walk past a hot spot, could report where you are. Wow. It might also report what the condition of your shirt is, how many times you've washed it, how many miles you've walked in your shoes. And there are instances of airplanes landing with fire trucks to put out fires that had not even started yet because the monitoring devices inside the aircraft engines reported that there was a problem, and that automatically went out over some sort of a radio net down to the maintenance people. That's a good thing, but sometimes they're not such good things, right? So what happens? Why do these things succeed? Because the Internet of Things is extremely insecure. And there are all kinds of articles out there about Internet of Things and making it more secure. So please, whenever you invite any type of digital communication into your workspace, into your organization, or into your home, make sure you know what it's going to be communicating with. Okay. Other one is just plain outright poor security practices, such as my password is password. Holy cow, people are still doing that. And then people poorly trained or businesses not controlling what happens. I'm not sure whether I told you, but we had some people go to a conference, and like an electronic selling type thing conference, and somebody there was giving away USB drives, and they went, wow. And so they just picked these things up and they carried them in, and then they plugged them onto their computer at work, and the next thing you know, there were viruses all across the country. So you need to make sure you have adequate control over what's going and coming in your environment, and you must take any threats seriously. Why? Literally, and I've had people in the class make the comment, some of their organizations literally had to pay ransom money to get access back to parts of their network. So please be careful. The other issue, they used to say that the biggest threat was from inside the organization, because you have trusted people, trusted employees. And so when you, and this is what we used to do with standard process, as soon as somebody left, it did not matter whether they were super trusted or not, every single thing that they had access to, they were immediately deleted. And it was recorded that they were immediately deleted, because at one point, I know, somebody kept a person's password active that had left, and they used that access to get in and do bad things. Okay? So you need to delete it, you need to record that it was deleted, and you need to track what people are doing. And then, of course, there are other reasons for attacks, and we read about these every day: competitors, people being politically motivated, or one government or another, or whatever. That's what they're for. So here's some of these threats. That Internet of Things, that's that IoT, that's been released, those botnets. And botnets means like go out and your computer now becomes part of my network, which is fun if I want to be the one to do that and not you, right? Ransomware we talked about. Can you imagine somebody that has 150 hospital patients all on life support receiving an email that says, guess what, we're going to turn all your life support systems off unless you pay XYZ by a certain date? It could be pretty exciting, huh? So please be careful. And there are literally, they've developed software that can literally damage the hardware. I mean, anybody that's ever received some of those annoying soliciting telephone calls, which I know we'd love to do that, but they are actually doing that. Okay? And then, of course, there are the threats to infrastructure, transportation, and everything else. So what do? Keep your organizations or personal software current. And one of the hardest things to do is there's a thing called bring your own device, which means the organization says, we're going to be cheap. We're going to let people bring their own cell phone, and then they can use their own cell phone. We do not have to buy one. We're going to let them bring their own laptop. We do not have to buy one. Well, guess what? They're opening themselves up for a lot of weaknesses in their security, because Who's going to enforce you personally keeping your software up to date? You do not care. You better, if you're going to be using it for your organization. And so other ways to protect that is to actually run some testing against your organization. I did that. It was a lot of fun. I found things that they had no idea were still there, and weaknesses, and then break networks up so that it's easier to block things, different firewalls in places, and then train your people and act that way. Okay, so those are some of the things you can do for security. You'll see all that again. And we'll have another session next week. We'll talk about some more good course content. I am going to close sharing and open up for contents. Questions? Okay. Golly, you guys, this is amazing. So many of you. Wow. Okay. Anybody, comments? You may unmute and comment if you wish. Right? I don't hear anybody yet. I see typing. Should I be looking for the chat line instead? Let me look at chat. Oh, we have 10 minutes and then I have to start paying, so we're not going to go over 10 more minutes. Okay, type here. If you want to type, you can type here, or you can talk. Comments? Questions? I am so proud of you guys. I cannot believe it. It's a wonderful group what a wonderful group of people. Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, and I deliberately picked these sessions because we try to keep them short, keep them exciting, and keep them interesting. This one ran a little bit long, and I do have to get over there and unsnocker my machine. I'm really disappointed. It must have done something to it this afternoon. It's a bad idea. All right, well, if that's it, then I'll go ahead and thank each of you for coming. You're great. I look forward to seeing you next week. Talk to the rest of the class and get them out here as well. Okay? You take care and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now I'm going to try and turn my camera on for just a second so at least we can say goodbye. And then again, maybe. There we go. All right, I'm going to try again. Bye-bye. Take care. End meeting. Bye-bye.